Well, hello ladies and gentlemen. You know that song, you know what that means. That means it's the weekend and that it's time for the James Freel Show. I am your host, James Freel, and as always I am very happy to have you with me. Bootleg week this week. I've talked a lot about how I've been doing those. This week's episode is for Friday, November 9th, 2018. And, it's definitely the holiday season. Thanksgiving's creeping right up on us. I know the show's been in existence longer than last year's Thanksgiving, but I don't know if I ever mentioned that Thanksgiving is without a doubt my favorite month. My favorite holiday. So, that's coming up, and I think, you can expect in the near future a graphic just like on Halloween. I had the little jack-o'-lanterns. Like I said, I like to be festive. Here. I've gone through a bunch of times saying how I've put News for the Uninformed on the neglection list, so that nothing's changed there, so I'm just going to jump right into it. I don't know if the music has stopped. Like I said, this is the bootleg, so I'm going to talk quite a little bit, at least. Is there anything else I can ramble about? But it's got to be small talk. Can't start any topics when you're doing this section. Normally I fill up this time by talking about how I've been neglecting News for the Uninformed, and now I'm filling it up by talking about how I always talk about it. Oh well, I'm going to assume that I've talked enough, and it's pretty bad when you vocalize your strategy as a strategy to take up time. But hey, you win some, you lose some. Anyway, let's hop in. Before we start rambling, let's get straight into News for the Uninformed. This week, the 2018 midterms elections took place. The Democratic Party took control of the House of Representatives, while the Republican Party gained ground in the Senate. Several gubernatorial races took place. For example, Mike DeWine won Ohio. He's now the governor-elect and will take John Kasich's spot, who, if I understand correctly, did not go out nominating. I'm hearing a lot of speculation about what's in the future for him. We stay interested. Oh yeah, that's right, yawn. Right on it. In sports, hold on. I got the sheet here. Let's see here. Let's see here. Trump denies knowing Lil Jon, who worked for him on Celebrity Apprentice. That is hilarious. You know what? In sports, I'm gonna go ahead and say the Cincinnati Bearcats are playing the Ohio State Buckeyes tonight. I believe that already started. Let me see if I can find the score. Cincinnati Bearcats versus Ohio State Buckeyes. Let's see what we got here.
Which Bearcats? College football.
Oh, we're going to go with that.
Cincinnati is trailing Ohio State 46-34 with 8 minutes remaining in the second half.
That sounds about right. That's a season opener, though. Yeah, so in sports, college basketball is starting up. And in pop culture, you know what? I'm going to go with that story about Trump denies knowing Lil Jon, who worked for him on Celebrity Apprentice. During his post-midterm press conference, President Trump was asked about his alleged use of racist language, including Lil Jon's contention that Trump called him Uncle Tom. Trump denied that he used the term and said he didn't know who Lil Jon was, despite the rapper's season-long appearance on Trump's Celebrity Apprentice show. That is interesting. Oh, I already gave away that this is we'll move into the rambling section now. So, yes, I gave away that this is a bootleg, and I think I also just now kind of gave away that I'm not even doing this, not the Thursday before, but in fact the Wednesday before, because tomorrow it just simply is not an option. to, excuse me, it's not an option to be doing this show then, and I will be traveling up to the great city of Columbus on Friday to see a European group band that I am quite a big fan of. So, with that said, what I do this week so far, I mean, it's only hump day, but, 2 days left. So I gotta say, there's this new video game out that looks, and I am not much of it. I would never call myself a gamer, mostly for the reason that whenever I play along with someone, unless it's Madden, that is one game that I actually feel like I can hold my own on. When it comes to any sort of combat or shooting game, I'm always horrible at it, and it's not very fun. But I will say, as a company, I've always really liked the games that Rockstar puts out. Grand Theft Auto 4 was my first experience with them. Really enjoyed the game. Yeah, it's probably not something good for you to be playing, but I mean, it was a lot of fun. And then after that, I got LA Noire, which was a great game, had a great storyline. I really just love the whole open world format that is a part of it. And then Bully, that's a good game. The problem with going back in reverse to previous games is you lose more detail. And the detail is sort of, the sandboxing is part of what makes it so cool and great. So that's why it's kind of hard to go in reverse. I once tried going backwards. I think it was Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. And it was interesting, especially to look back, but, it was just, it's hard to get hooked on it the same way one got hooked to the original. I've got Grand Theft Auto 5. That was a lot of fun. All right, here we go. Ohio State versus Cincinnati on the screen. Oh, wow, and this is in Cincinnati. Anyway, but when I was in high school, there was a friend who was very good at video games. And he was always talking about this game called Red Dead Redemption. He said, it's like Grand Theft Auto. It's so good. You gotta play it. It's so good. And I never gave it much of a thought. Excuse me. I had him describe it to me. And at the time, it just didn't seem that great. Since then, it sparked my interest. But now this game is out. The sequel, just Red Dead Redemption 2. And I gotta say, the trailers look pretty amazing because I'm an amateur history nerd. I wouldn't say I'm really smart at history, but I enjoy history a lot. I like audiobooks on it. And I think the game takes place in like the 1890s, which is a fascinating time for me because it seems like that era, I guess it was at the end of Reconstruction. I mean, it doesn't get a whole lot of attention in the history books. It really seems like back in history class, everything went straight from, you go straight from the Civil War to the Great Depression, because those are the most historically significant things. It's kind of at the end, the frontier, the Wild West, everything's changing and all that jazz, and just fascinating stuff. So, the fact that it's a detailed open world game, it looks really, really cool. I just don't know if I can justify getting it right when it's out, because, it's definitely a thing. It's a thing. It's a lot of money to be spending on something like that. Alright, moving on. So, wow, I spent a lot of time talking about a video game. But yes, that's something I've been looking at. So this past week, Sober October ended, and I gotta say, I'm not pleased with it, because I did have a few drinks, and I just don't feel as lean as I did during October, and I got down to a really amazing weight. I was shocked. I thought the scale might have been broken because of how light I was, and all I had really changed was that I wasn't drinking. But last time I wasn't drinking, I wasn't doing my regular cardio the way... I've never been doing regular cardio as well as I have been now, which I've been very open about. I do 3 to 4 30-minute sessions a week. I'll be honest, the heaviest I've ever weighed was 154 pounds. And the other day, right when Sober October ended, I was down to 133. And I never remember weighing that little since I started actively checking my weight. When I first was at 154, I thought, wow, it'd be so cool to get down to 140. And it sort of took a while for me to get there. And basically, I had a weekend where I enjoyed beverages. I didn't go crazy or anything, but enough to wake up with a headache, and I just felt bloated, and, I'm inching up towards 140 again, and I'd really like to stay below it. 5 is the unacceptable second digit. I can live with the 4, but, it's nice to go without it. So that's my ramble on this week. I'm sure you don't want to go back and listen to this only for me to talk about my weight. And no one, why am I even talking about that? Am I trying to get some listeners here? Am I trying to get some people interested in something? It's not easy to do. Ohio State is taking it to them. 55-39, 5:22 left in the second half. All right, I'm not going to commentate on that. So tomorrow night, I will be leaving. See, I work late tomorrow. I did, so last night, got to collect my thoughts before I just start scrambling around talking. Last night was election night, and I did vote, and I did stay up relatively late to watch the results. Basically, it seemed like I heard a lot of people say both sides have reason to celebrate, and both sides have reason to be concerned. Which, I guess party split. I'm getting into dangerous territory if I start talking about politics on here, because as I've said many times, that's not something I want to go into for the sake of having someone want to listen to me. So that's that. Work's been interesting. Last week I was all IV polls, did that Monday. I like working on mechanical aspects, and a lot of people who go into the field that I'm in do it mostly for the electrical stuff. And don't get me wrong, I like electricity, I like working with electronics, but I also like mechanical work also. It's just it's satisfying to work with tools, and I didn't realize why guys were so into I grew up without really any male figure consistently around, and so I never really took off interest with tools and like why men like their tools, and they like keeping them organized. Some do, some don't. But now that I'm older and I've like been on the job, and it's like, well, you pay me to turn a screwdriver. It's like, it's satisfying. It's kind of like working with an erector set, but except patient care is a factor, so you need to be careful with that. This morning I had a meeting, and the director of the department, because I leave for class on Wednesdays, they rotate these meetings from the morning every other Wednesday, and each meeting they switch from the morning to evening. You only have to go to one a month, so it's okay that I miss one. But while I was in the meeting this morning, the director, the top dog of the department, said, "Was anybody not here at the last meeting?" And I hesitantly raised my hand. He didn't say that. He said, "For anyone who wasn't here at the last meeting, if there was anyone here." And I hesitantly raised my hand. He said, "Oh, I'm not concerned with co-ops." And when that happened, I was a little embarrassed, and so I just shrugged off like, "Oh, I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about." So I tried to play it off like that, but the whole office interpreted that as, "Oh, you don't care about co-ops, I see." And it felt good to make the whole office area laugh, even if it was even if it was done completely unintentionally. So I'll take that one to the bank. It felt good, and people later in the day mentioned it to me and gave me a little joke about it. Said it was kind of funny. All right, 14 minutes and 20 seconds. Gotta keep talking. So that was my day-to-day. Office meetings, they're torture to me, especially because he wasn't wrong, or even, it was pretty a fair way to go saying, "Oh, I'm not concerned with co-ops," because nothing in those meetings is really relevant to me. And it can just be torturous to have to sit there and listen. Whenever I'm in there, I start thinking of everything cringy. Not everything cringy. That's this show. No, I start thinking about everything bad that could possibly happen in my life. I start to, when my mind has to sit there idly and go around by itself and it's already not in a positive light, it starts to think of all the worst case scenarios of everything. And, I've thought I was going to make some life altering decisions when I've been in meetings because they've just been so horrible, so torturous even. Anyway. What else did I do this week? That was Monday. No, that was today. That was Wednesday. My Bengals were on bye week this week. Oh, there's a football. Toledo versus Northern Illinois University. Prime time. That actually looks like you guys know I almost went to Toledo. I almost went there, and for a while there, oh wow, well UC's pushing back a little bit. I know for a while I lied about going to Toledo. I like Toledo's color scheme. I enjoy the blue and yellow. It's fun to watch college students aware that they're on television, but pretending like they're not aware of it. It's an interesting thing. Hey. You ever think you could point out on a basketball sideline who's in a suit but really doesn't need to be or doesn't know what they're doing? What do I know? Maybe there's some people who are really, really smart about what they're doing and they just happen to look like they're 17 years old surrounded by a bunch of men in their late 20s. Who knows? Oh, and he passes it. Oh, you see... I enjoy basketball when it's not my favorite. It's probably my third or fourth. I actually think I like hockey a little better than basketball. You guys stop passing it to the same three people over and over? Oh, we just got dunked on. Anyway, let's stop watching that because that's not going to do any good for this show. Alright, so yes, I have a concert that I am going to this Friday. The group's called Los Campesinos. I was really, really into them for a while, and I still like them. I didn't have a falling out with them or anything. It hasn't been. 2017, they dropped a new album that was very, very good. I listened to that album quite a bit. Yeah. Oh, I think I mentioned on last week's show that I went with I met up with a group of people at a local bar. Did not drink while I was there. But one of the guys who was there, I wound up the day after. So last Saturday, I went to his apartment. And I was very impressed with it, especially with the low... he's actually done an episode of Conversations with James Freel. I just have not edited it together, so I'm not going to reveal his name. But, you win some, you lose some. I found this old video on YouTube that talked about single-room schools that existed in my county. And that's kind of interesting, how regular, how many there were, which I guess it makes a lot of sense because, a single room school, how many people could that fit? I'm not sure what exactly the population of our county was back then. You also got to think a lot of people didn't even go to school. And to an extent, there's a lot of, I feel like everything past, I dare say even 5th or 6th grade just became a little redundant because I can't think of anything that I've applied to the real world. And I'm not trying to make that generic argument, don't stay in school, whenever am I going to use the Pythagorean theorem, which, I think the Pythagorean theorem is amazing. The fact that consistently does it, I'm sure if I was smart enough I could understand why it is, and I could see it for what it is. But at the same time, that relationship, it kind of blows my mind a little bit. I mean, math is fascinating, but at the same time, yeah, I don't really see a whole lot of application to that in my everyday life. Regardless, I'm not saying that you should... How did I get on this thing? Anyway, it was cool to find out one of the single-room schools was literally an eighth of a mile down the road from a house that I grew up in. And that just was like, wow, that kind of blew my mind. I guess it didn't really blow my mind because the house I lived on was very much... Where am I even going with this? I did live near a pet cemetery growing up. That never really... You tell everyone that's kind of a good conversation starter. People find that's something interesting. I don't know how interesting, but it's something I've said. I've probably mentioned that before on this show. I have not had anyone on Conversations with James Freel for a while now. And there's one guy in particular I have in mind to ask, but it's all about getting up the... he's actually said before that he would happily come on it. But at the same time, he's a very busy guy, and there's a lot of stress that comes with trying to set something up, especially with someone who's busy, and especially when it's something as non-consequential and as kind of silly as what I'm doing. So, going to the movies by myself for the second time ever, and I'm low-key excited. That's funny. Yeah, I enjoy going to not just movies by myself. There are a lot of stuff you can do by yourself that I think is a lot of fun. One thing that I once did do by myself that, in hindsight, I can think, okay, yeah, you probably shouldn't have done that by yourself, was putt-putt. I once went through a serious phase where I was really into mini-golf putt-putt. And I wanted to get better because I played with a group of people. And I went like in the middle of the day. These people must have thought I was extremely strange because, it's like 2 in the afternoon. This was like my first semester in college where I just had to take what I could get when it came to registering for classes. And, I only had one class on a Friday, came home, had the rest of the day off. And, I just went and one round of putt-putt and tried getting better. So that's one thing. Doing alone isn't the best. One thing that is fun to do alone, going to sporting events. I've probably told the story quite a bit on here. At the time I went to last year on Christmas Eve, the Cincinnati Bengals versus the Detroit Lions. Went by myself. First half was pretty much by myself. By the second half, I was talking with the Lion fans around me, and they were all great. I really wish I could have found their Twitter account or something because it was a good memory. But that, and I didn't have to do that. That's kind of what makes it special. The fact that, just these people who I'll never see again, and the more I think back to them, the less accurately I probably remember the way they were. But it was. I don't want to dwell on that. So sporting events are definitely things good to go to alone. Going to movies alone, I would recommend. Going to the theater alone is a great time. You see some great shows. Going to restaurants alone, yeah. I once went to one place by myself, and you get this weird dynamic with your waitress or waiter, either one. That's just bizarre, especially if you're going to somewhere somewhat nice. It's like, why are you going here by yourself? But I enjoy eating meals alone. I gotta say, I've developed a bad habit where whenever I'm eating lunch, I always want to watch YouTube videos. And I really like watching YouTube videos. But I feel like I'm not getting the full lunch break experience if I'm not staring at thousands upon thousands of pixels and sound waves stimulating my brain. If I don't get that, I sort of get like I don't want to say, wow, from downtown, 3-pointer, Cincinnati Bearcats are now within 4 points of the Ohio State Buckeyes. Can they make a comeback? See, I'd still call myself a Bearcat fan because I went there. I went to UC, but whenever I see the student section, it's just like, oof. I really want to throw in my lot with at the same time, I don't know if it's specifically that. I'd say it's just college sports fans in general and student section in general. But I guess I also sort of feel a little left out because I was a commuter at the University of Cincinnati, so I never really got the whole college experience, which, I'm actually kind of okay with. Oh, it saved me about, I'd say, around 30 or 40 grand by not living on campus. Just didn't make sense to. Oh, well, I've talked about that before on here. I don't get it. Are they going to put the Toledo game on or not? All right, but I only got a little bit of time left. Was there anything left I wanted to talk about? Calibration guy. Listening to audiobooks about the Old West right now. And my car's doing this thing where I hit the brakes and it clicks once. Now, I don't know if that's something I should be worried about or not. Who knows? Got to tell you what, the playoff picture is heating up in the NFL. I think my Bengals, if the season were to end today, I think they would be in a wild card spot. Playoff picture. I know the Steelers are top of the AFC North. Which, right here we got here. NFL playoff picture. I gotta say how bummed out I am by how lousy the Cowboys are. I had so much fun in the the Bengals would be in the wild. I think they would they play each other? Yeah, they would play the Steelers right now. And I'm still bringing it down. I'm calling it right now. I think the Bengals are going to be winning in Week 17 against the Steelers. I'm calling it right now. And I think the Steelers will already be in, and they won't have anything to play for. And they'll still beat us. I just don't see it happening. If it comes down to it, yes, I'd rather the Texans win. Basically, every year I'm just rooting, especially when the Steelers are doing well, I'm just rooting for them to not win a Super Bowl. Because you have 6, how many more do you need? No, I get it. So we got the Vikings, the Bears, the Panthers, and the Redskins. Dolphins are in the hunt. I don't get it. The Ravens are 4-5, and they're still ranked in the NFL Power Rankings 11th or something. The Bengals are 16th. Not only we beat them, we beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They're the last team we played. They're 5-3. Yes, we got destroyed by the Chiefs. The Chiefs happen to be a really good team. They're the number 1 seed, I think. Yeah. They're the first seed. Yeah, we got destroyed by the number 1 seed. Wouldn't mind seeing the Rams win. I'm not a big Saints fan. They rub me the wrong way. Love the Vikings. Love the Bears. Panthers kind of rub me the wrong way. Meh on the Redskins. Oh, geez, the Cowboys. Why are they even in the hunt? Hate the Packers. Hate the Eagles. Seahawks are all right. We will see how this goes. No team has officially been eliminated yet. It is anyone's game at this point. Who's to say? Oh, they switched over to the Toledo NIU game. I had a feeling that would happen. We will see. Oh, I think it's just because it's halftime. All right, ladies and gentlemen. I think of anything else yet to say. No, this is what happens when I don't write a script down, or at least an outline. We are going to get back to that. It's just the situation I've been in has made it difficult to type that out. But anyway, thank you so much for listening. It means a lot to me if anyone's out there actually listening to this show. You will see me next week, and I think next week be the Thanksgiving? I got a little bit of time to check. It will be November. So, you know what, I might do it, since it'll be Friday, that'll be the Thanksgiving episode. Alright, ladies and gentlemen. No, the week after it'll be the reflection. See you next week. Talk to you later. Bye.